What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers, and this is the end of the year special. We have the final thoughts and best bet stream. We're combining the Friday stream and Saturday stream all into one. Should be a very fun show. Last stream of the entire year, and I brought three awesome guys on. We'll start with you, Narco. Narco, what is up? You looking forward to the last card of the year?
Yeah, man. This is it. We're gonna be off for 3 weeks after this, so it's a nice little break. But I hate having breaks, honestly. But yeah, man, looking forward to this last card. Have some spots, and yeah, nice to chop it up here one last time for the year.
For sure, glad you were able to make it, Narco. And then Wheezy, are you looking forward to this last card of the year?
Definitely looking forward to it, man. More opportunities to make money, and then we've got a break. So, really just want to finish the year strong here. Want to find the best possible spots. I couldn't think of three other guys better to chop it up with. So let's do it. Let's go.
Sounds good. And then Liam making his appearance back on the channel. Has not been on in a while. Glad to have you back on, Liam.
Absolutely, Brady. Glad to be back. This was my first year in full tracking bets, recording how I did. And it looks like, barring a catastrophic collapse here on the last event, we're going to end out the year in profit. So very happy with that, and very happy to be on breaking this card down with you guys. Think there's some spots on this card where we could try and exploit the bookies, make a little cheddar to make the holidays better. That's what I'm looking to do, brother.
Heck yeah, that is always the goal. Before we get into it, guys, if you guys can please leave a like on the channel. Also subscribe as well. Do want to shout out the chat before we get started here. Octorus, first one in the chat saying, let's go. Thank you for all your hard work, Brady. Thank you, Octorus, for hanging out. Octorus also saying, oi, what is up? A Dab Father hanging out as well. What's up, Gordon? Money-making season. I agree. Last card of the year, let's make some money. I agree. That is the goal for sure. We have Menace as well. What is up? Salute. Tajik, the GOAT with the dono. Fantastic Four. Let's go. Appreciate you, Tajik, for hanging out. Cannot wait for this breakdown here. Should be a fun one. And I say we get right into it. So we'll start the very first fight of the night. We have Matt Sales going against Jourdain Levitt. I was curious to see how Matt Sales was going to weigh in here. Saw him weigh in. He looked really good. There's a narrative going around that he did blow up to like 250 pounds, but he made weight. He looked good. I don't like a side here. What I do like is going to be some violence. I think both guys are capable of finishing a very, binary fight where if Jourdain Levitt gets a fight down to the mat, I think there's a good chance he can get that submission. And Matt Sales, if he gets the fight where he wants it, and that's on the feet, I think he knocks out Jourdain Levitt. I think there's a huge discrepancy between the grappling of the two and then also the striking of the two. I have no clue who's going to win, but give me the under 2.5 rounds. I think it's sitting at about minus 150 or minus 250. No, minus 150. Yeah, the under 2.5 rounds, minus 150. I like that. I think someone goes to sleep here. Narco, how about you? What do you like for this fight?
I'm right there with you. I target fights for under 2.5 where I see a huge discrepancy in both sides of the either stand up or on the ground. So you got a guy in Jourdain Levitt who just hunts for submissions all the time while he's on the ground, goes for those takedowns. What I will say is he's not the most talented guy, but the guy goes for the submissions. He's really tricky with them. And then you got a guy in Matt Sales who kind of looks kind of lost on the ground, to be honest. He's not the best guy that's, defending submissions. And I think if this hits the floor, Jourdain Levitt will have plenty of opportunity to get the submission. On the flip end, on the feet, we see Sales throwing very, very big, with very big power, big right hand. And on the other hand, Jourdain Levitt pretty much sucks on the feet, if you ask me. So, you got, two guys that are very good in different sides of the fight. So when there's something like that, I like taking the under, because if it stays standing, I think Sales knocks him out. If it gets to the ground, Levitt subs him. So under 2.5, I got in a little early at minus 130. It's ballooned up to minus 150 now. I think there's places you can get minus 140. I still like it, honestly. I think this fight ends one way or another.
Yeah, DraftKings Sportsbook, I think I saw it last night at minus 140, and then mybookie.ag had it minus 135. So still some better prices out there for sure. Wheezy, how about you? What are you liking for this first fight of the night?
Yeah, I was going to say fight doesn't go to decision at minus 170 right now because, as bad as it's such a binary fight, it's either going to be a grappling match that Levitt dominates or it's going to be a striking match that Sales dominates. Sales has got a ton of power, and Levitt looks kind of lost on his feet. So I kind of feel like that covers both sides. At -170, I kind of feel like one of these guys is going to get their way. And I've just seen Sales put in a lot of bad spots when he is on the ground. And one of the things I like about Levitt is if the takedowns don't work, he'll just try to take your back standing, or he'll pull guard. So I think he's going to get the fight into his world at some point. So it's probably either Levitt by sub or Sales by knockout. Either way, fight doesn't go to decision at -170, should cash.
There you go. Liam, how about you? Are you on the same boat as us? Do you like violence here, or are you looking a different route?
Yeah, I have a tracked bet on this fight not to go the distance. Parlayed up with the Tafa and Hunsucker fight as well, not to go the distance. So I feel like this is, a pretty decent spot for violence for all the reasons that you guys laid out. I think that, to offer something different, +420 on Sales by KO, probably the best like method prop on this fight. I do think that Levitt is going to find the sub. But if he doesn't, like you guys mentioned, his striking defense is pretty void. He gets a little bit loose on his entries at times because he's like so willing to grapple. And I think that, Sales, he has some power. He's got like a pretty decent 1-2. He's got decent enough hands. I'm just not blown away by his grappling defense unless he's improved, leaps and bounds. He's really made some like critical errors in fights, even pursuing his own grappling to a fault. So I think that, maybe some fight IQ mistakes will cost Sales this fight. But, if he's able to keep it upright, I do think that +420 for the KO, it's pretty exaggerated from the rest of the market. So shout out to Sean Orr. He raised my attention to that. And I think that that's not a bad way to play it if you're on the Sales side.
No, I agree. That's pretty juicy for sure. When we're talking about from a DraftKings perspective, I think this is actually a really sneaky fight to target because, like we mentioned, it's a very binary fight. Either Levitt's going to get the fight down to the mat, probably find that sub, takedown upside, or I think Sales can knock him out. So for DraftKings first fight of the night, I'm going to be very heavily exposed. I think it's a good way to target there. Right, acknowledge, and you mean Levitt. I don't know how you got those two confused, but acknowledge that Pujolas could KO him with a head kick, but Sales ain't knocking him out. Well, I think Sales could absolutely knock him out here. Gordon saying over/under on splits done in the final celebration. I'll set the over/under at 1.5. Wheezy, you think over 1.5 splits or under?
God, man, that's a good question. I'm gonna go with under because you could. I mean, it doesn't matter how great of a start you get off to. You could tear a groin doing the splits. Any man can. So yeah, even if he does win, hits those splits, if he doesn't do them just perfectly, that'll be the last one for a couple of months. I'll tell you that.
Sounds good to me, but we'll move on to the next fight. Yeah, interesting one here. Dontel Mays going against Josh Parisian. Anarco, we'll let you kick this one off. You liking any spots here?
Yeah, I mean, this is a fight that I'm not targeting myself. Too kind of low level. I don't even want to call Dontel Mays low level because he has some skill on the feet. He just doesn't put enough output for me. As far as skill, like I have Mays here, a much more skilled fighter than Parisian. He's the better striker. Parisian basically blocks punches with his face. We saw the fight against Roque Martinez where I have no idea how he won that fight because I had it scored Martinez 2-1. But somehow he got the split decision. I mean, Roque Martinez was absolutely lighting this guy up and his face showed it. Now he faces a guy in Dontel Mays who, going back and watching that Gane fight, he looked decent. I mean, obviously Gane is all the way up there at this point, but I mean, he didn't look terrible. But again, that's Gane, and now he's facing a guy in Parisian who absolutely, to me, is not UFC material. I don't like anything this guy does, to be honest. There's not anything this guy does that's well, other than taking punches and constantly coming forward. And I guess he's tough. Okay, that's the only thing I can give him. So with that being said, since he's so tough and Mays doesn't throw a ton of output, fight goes to decision +132 is a spot that I would look at. I'm not in love with it, obviously. Little ring, heavyweights. I never want to go fight goes to the decision. But Parisian is really tough. Dontel Mays has shown a really good chin, actually. against Gane, and I doubt Parisian's going to knock him out. And so plus 132, I don't think is bad, but I can see Mays knocking this dude out.
Yep, I agree with you. I think, the fight goes to decision. I know we all expect heavyweight fights to finish, and I think the other two on the card will, but this is one I definitely agree with you. I can see it going to decision. Wheezy, how about you? What are you liking for this fight?
So I'm going the other way with Narco Cop here. I'm going to say the under 2.5 at plus 100 here. Narco said that Parisian blocks punches with his face, and it's true. 43% striking defense. And Mays's is better. It's 43.13%. So by 0.12%, Dante O'Mays has just a little bit better striking defense than Parisian does, but it's not good. They're both at 43%, you guys. And one of the things that I think is interesting for this particular fight is Mays is not a huge pressure guy. He doesn't march people down. Like when you watch the Parisian fight and you watch what Roque Martinez did to him, and I had a bet on Parisian in that fight. And when I went to the scorecards, I was like, well, let's tear up this fucking ticket because there's no way Josh won this fight. But I somehow cashed that bet. And I think it's because Parisian did move pretty well when he was being pressured. He was dancing out of there. He was landing some shots of his own, but he doesn't like being pressured. Parisian's at his best when somebody just stands in front of him, and then he can get off some of that spinning shit, some of those big kicks that he throws, and he throws a ton of volume. I think Mays is actually going to give Parisian the kind of fight that he wants here, and I think either Parisian or Mays is going to land a big shot and end this one. They both have very bad striking defense. Mays has been finished in all 3 of his UFC losses. Parisian's been finished in 2 out of his 4 career losses. So, and they both have great finish rates in their own right. Parisian in particular, 85%. So, I'm going to be going with an under 2.5 at actually plus money for 2 huge heavyweights that hit hard. It seems like that's a little bit off for me.
So Wheezy's going the violence route. Narco's going the anti-violence route. And as ugly as it seems, I'm actually going to go with the Josh Parisian money line plus 172. I mean, this is such a low-level heavyweight fight. And like Narco mentioned, Parisian's not great at a lot of things, but one thing he is good at is he's very tough. The other thing is he does throw a lot of volume. I just think it's going to be a very close, greasy, heavyweight fight. Give me the plus money on Josh Parisian. I don't love it, but it's dog or pass for me. I'll take Parisian there. Liam, how about you? What do you like for this fight?
Yeah, so this is the fight that I probably have the least interest in and investment on the card. I think it's really sloppy. Could I see a path for Parisian winning this fight on volume for a decision? I definitely can, but it also is hard for me to invest in somebody at heavyweight who just like walks onto punches pretty routinely. So I don't think that a violence look is a bad way to target this, but I do think that both these guys kind of qualify as brick for head material. And even that fight where he got finished against Gane was like tooling on him a little bit, but I don't know that he was going to finish that fight standing. I feel like Mays could have just like eked his way to a decision there. And instead Gane is like, you know what, let me hit this sit back straight ankle lock that would not work in any other division. So I think that, both of these guys, kind of hard to envision investing in them at chalk and it being a plus money proposition. So, or excuse me, a plus EV proposition. So I wouldn't back Mays here on the money line either, even though I think it can be a favorable matchup for him. It's just like, I don't know. I can't trust that guy, dude.
No, I feel like you can't trust anything in this fight. It seems like we're kind of all over the place for that one. As far as the DraftKings perspective goes, I don't see myself having a ton of this fight. Mays at 8,600 doesn't really seem something I'm too interested in. Josh Parisian at 7,600, if anything, I'd probably play some of him, but don't see myself playing a ton of this fight, honestly. See what you guys are saying in the chat here. Royk, a future heavyweight GOAT, along with Parker Porter. I totally agree. What is up, Nicotine? Thanks for the content. Hit the like button. I agree with that as well. Hit the like button. Would much appreciate it, guys. PayPal saying Mays beat Lord Hunsucker. That he did, so he'll make light work of Parisian. Yeah, good point there. Parisian by decision plus 475. Not too bad. That's kind of where I look as well. What's up, Dan? Gane and Ngannou couldn't shine the shoes of Parker Porter and Royk Martinez. I 100% agree with that. And then Gordon is fading completely on DraftKings. Yeah, I don't hate that call. But we'll move on to the next fight. We have Raquel Pennington going against Maisie Chiasson. Liam, we'll start with you. What are you liking for this fight here?
So I think if you got involved on Macy at the opener, or like close to it, I definitely understand that play. I think now at the current money line price, I would have a lot less interest in getting involved on Macy's money line. I think that, Raquel Pennington by decision at plus money is like normally the smartest way to target her for her fights. I have, just marginal concerns in the back of my head that Macy could pull a quit job if the fight is going poorly. And so that would be the only thing that would make me hesitate on the Macy by decision line there. But I'm just a little concerned because the fight's at 45 and Macy has like a decent enough activity level in the clinch. It could just turn into a gross, sloppy fight. I feel like the over's relatively safe here, but this is also a fight where I don't actually have any bets myself on it. This is one that I think if you got in early, great. But at this point, market is pretty efficient, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. I mean, earlier in the week, before I knew this fight was at 145, I actually really liked Pennington. Not a ton, but I liked her to win. But I think, this fight being at 145 kind of changed a lot of things for me. And I do lean more towards the Macy side here. I think she's going to be the much bigger fighter. She's going to have a huge height and reach advantage. And yeah, I just feel like it's going to be a close fight at this point. So yeah, give me Chiasson here by decision plus 280. I think the fight does go to decision. I think it's very, very close. I think Macy's going to use her size to get the win there. But yeah, a very, very close fight. Give me the plus money on that Macy decision there. What is up, Billy? How you doing? PayPal saying hit the like button. Narco, what do you like for this fight here?
Yeah, another fight that I'm actually staying away from. Moving up to 145 here. I don't know who missed or who was not going to make that weight. I'm assuming it's Macy because she has short notice. But I just don't know here. If I was to take anyone, it's probably Pennington because she might have that grappling edge where she can get this fight to the ground. But with that being said, up at 145, it's probably going to be a little harder to get the takedowns here. Macy is a big girl. She hits hard on the feet. But a spot that I might look at is playing Pennington live if she loses that first round, because I think she'll come on later on in this fight. So, yeah, for me, if I'm to take anything right now, probably be Pennington by decision at plus 120. But I'm probably going to look to maybe play her live if she loses that first round.
Pennington by decision plus 120. And looking at it from a live betting standpoint, Wheezy, how about you? What are you looking at for this fight here?
Yeah, I can't believe Raquel Pennington opened at minus 300 here. That's crazy. Yeah, I'm going to go with Pennington by decision here. I don't want to look too much into the moving up to 145 pounds here. What I think Pennington does great in every single fight is pressure. So, the best way to overcome that big height and reach advantage is just to constantly pressure them, be in their face. And that's the way that Rocky's always fought. So I think it's a good matchup for her. I think she's going to win this fight. And at plus 120, I believe you can get Rocky by decision right now. There's money coming in on Chiasson. So the value is now starting to be a little bit more on Rocky here. She's the more experienced fighter. She's fought the far, far better brand of competition and beaten the far, far better brand of competition here. Plus Macy's taking this fight on short notice. Going to go Rocky by decision plus 120.
Yep, sounds good to me. As far as a DK standpoint, yeah, I don't have a ton of interest in this fight. Yeah, I think it's going to be just a pure fade for me. 8,400 Pennington, no thank you. Chiasson 7,000, no thank you. I think there are better fights to target on a 14-fight card. Billy saying we're getting Liam picks on Pub Sports Radio tomorrow. There you go. Shout out to Liam coming on Pub Sports. I will not be making it. I will be out of town on the road. Charles liking Pennington by decision as well. DXJC saying, whoa, what this is at 145. That is absolutely game-changing info. Yes, it is at 145. Just found that, I think, on Monday. But yeah, we'll keep moving on to the next fight here. We have Charles Jourdain going against Andre Ewell. We'll start with you, Wheezy. What are you liking for this fight?
Okay, so, when I look through the odds on this one, there's really nothing that's sticking out to me. But the time props don't make any sense to bet for me because I kind of feel like the time props are either Jourdain's going to finish or Ewell's going to win this by decision. And I when I look at the lines, you really got to pay up this week in order to bet Charles Jourdain. And he's let us down before with the draw against Culibao, a couple of losses that he probably shouldn't have lost, in particular the Erosa fight. So he's hard to trust. And at minus 200, you just don't want to lay that kind of juice. So if I feel that Ewell by decision is a pretty good chance of happening, and Ewell by decision is right now at plus 340, I believe, on FanDuel. So I really do like the Ewell by decision. And you don't have to sprinkle it much. You can do a quarter unit and almost win one for a possibly, what I think could be a good shot for Ewell here, because he's moving up to 145 for the first time in the UFC. And one of his biggest deficits has been the cardio in the late rounds. If the weight class move up winds up taking care of that for him and he can go the full 15, I think he could potentially win a decision here. And at plus 340 is juicy enough to be interesting.
Yep, that is juicy for sure. I am going the opposite way here. But yeah, like you mentioned, if this fight's going to finish, I do think it's going to be Jourdain. If it goes to decision, I think it could potentially be Ewell, and that is definitely a good price there. But for me, I'm going to go with Charles Jourdain to win inside the distance, plus 140. This is a guy that has a 100% finish rate. Andre Ewell has been finished 5 times in his career, 2 by knockout, 3 by submission. I think if Charles Jourdain does win, it is going to be inside the distance, and you're getting that plus 140. I think that should be correlated more towards his money line, because all this guy does is finish. He's never won a decision. So give me Charles Jourdain to finish this fight, plus 140. Liam, how about you? What are you liking for this fight here?
Yeah, so I actually have a play on Andre Ewell here at the earlier price. So I locked in a bet on him at plus 180. And it's for a couple of reasons. I do think that the cardio has been a liability in part because of the weight cut. I'm hopeful that he's going to look a little bit better in the later rounds in this fight. I think that Jourdain has always been like overpriced in the UFC. He came in with a decent amount of hype, I suppose, like from the TKO scene. And then, he is a finisher, but he's also been in like blood and guts wars with like the lower level guys in the UFC now. And he gets hurt in almost every fight. So I think that Ewell can win this fight by decision, but I wouldn't be like altogether stunned if he hurt him. He throws a pretty fast 1-2. He actually throws more shots and eats fewer shots than Jourdain overall. I just think that Jourdain has more power. So that's why it becomes a tricky fight. And there's not all that much time separating the fight with Arce and this one, but I think that it's like time for Ewell to either win a fight or get out of the organization. His back's kind of against the wall here. And I do think this is a winnable spot for him. So for that reason, at the early price, I would think about the money line for Ewell. But also, I think fading the narrative here and taking Jourdain by decision isn't the worst thing in the world. I know he doesn't have great optics and kind of throws away first rounds, but we have seen that Ewell has slowed down in the past, and Jourdain has come on strong in later rounds in most of his UFC fights. So if Ewell is able to make it to the scorecards, you might get a more generous price because Jourdain's never gone there. So that's at least a way to fade the narrative potentially if you're on the Jourdain side.
That for sure makes sense. And yeah, I can't trust Jourdain at this price tag. Somebody that you can really never trust. Just kind of hit or miss sometimes, it seems like. But Narco, what are you looking at for this fight here?
Yeah, so I pretty much agree with what Liam said. Ewell in a striking match, I think he's a cleaner striker. He's got the range. He's got the nice 1-2. The problem with Ewell has been, this guy loves getting backed up to that cage, getting his leg literally chopped off. Jourdain doesn't throw a ton of leg kicks. He likes throwing those kicks, but more to the head and to the body. He might change it up here. I don't know, but Jourdain, defensively sucks when it comes to striking. He gets hit a lot. But the one thing I think here is he's going to have the power advantage. He does have some power. I think he's going to have the cardio advantage. And like Liam said, he comes on in the second and third round. I do have a bet on Ewell at plus 176. But I also have bets, honestly, on Charles Jourdain round 2, round 3, because I think he's going to be very live there. And the guy, when he knows he's losing, like in the Rojo fight, it was extremely close. I mean, the guy goes for it in the third round. I mean, he's going to absolutely go for it. He's going to try to get you out of there. And the one thing we've seen from Ewell is, he's backing up to the cage, gets hit in that third round, gets tired. And like I said, Jourdain goes for it, man. And if you have a Ewell ticket, you might be sweating in that third round. So why not, throw that plus 1,400 on Charles Jourdain round 3 KO.
That's definitely an interesting prop there. I like it. So you guys are saying in the chat, killer instinct versus no killer instinct. There you go. Dan saying Ewell has a huge reach advantage and Jordy eats punches to the face willfully. That is true. What is up, B? How you doing? Saying oi, catching live. Thanks, guys. Thank you, B, for hanging out. Jourdain is Jimmy Crew all hype. Yeah, I don't think a ton of hype is on Jourdain at this point, especially after his last loss to Arosa. Looks like
I think even to make it a better sprinkle as well, if you're throwing like a 0.2 unit on that, 0.1 unit on Jourdain's sub round 3, because Jourdain is like actually decent with his grappling as well. Hasn't really shown off any of that in the UFC, but Andre, like that's what I'm like shitting my pants about in this fight, is if it's a striking fight, I think Andre keeps it very close unless he like cardio dies. But I think that, Andre's just never shown much skill on the ground. And if Jourdain does put him there when he's tired, I think that could be, a path for him to finish the fight. So I might be sprinkling those myself. And that just stood out to me looking at the board.
Nice. Yeah. Jourdain is a black belt, right? But he hasn't used it yet in the UFC. Maybe he does this week, huh? Let's see what else we got. Yeah, he's talking about Tafa. That's interesting. CDF, Pennington, Chiasson, or Eubanks at the weigh-ins. And we have 30 minutes left. I think Eubanks and CDF were 2 hours really looking at. So, yeah, that's very interesting. Told the subs to play Jourdain 2-3, plus 700 and plus 1,400. Billy thinking there could be a late finish. I think there could be as well. Early prediction, everyone, for Brandon versus Figgy 3. Seems like Brandon minus 163 is a great betting spot. As of now, I'm completely passing. Does anybody have a good read on that fight? No.
Yeah, I can admit that I have a tracked bet on Brandon Moreno already at that price.
There you go.
Like minus 160.
So Liam liking Moreno early. I have no clue what I'm going to do with that fight yet. But
although Figgy on steroids from Fight Ready is a little bit concerning, dude. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I want to see Figgy on the scales because last time he looked like absolute crap. So we'll see how he looks this time. But yeah, no strong read there for me. But yeah, going to this next fight, yeah, this one's tough to call, especially considering Ciara Eubanks has not weighed in yet. I was hoping, by the time we broke this down, she had weighed in, she had looked good, but she had not weighed in yet, and she has 28 minutes to do so. So we'll let you kick it off, Wheezy. What do you like for this fight here, Eubanks, Melissa Gatto?
Yeah, so I was on Gatto earlier in the week until I kind of watched the tape and saw that she can get a little bit sloppy on the ground. I like how aggressive she is on the ground, and her striking really did seem to improve by leaps and bounds during the time off. So I do feel like, Gatto is kind of live at the plus number. But then when I watched, how Eubanks fights and how great she is at controlling her opponents on the ground, especially ones that, can get a little bit sloppy and give up position like Gatto can. And, Eubanks has fought the way better brand of competition. She's way more experienced, and she's a problem at 125. So I don't have a bet on this fight, but Ciara Eubanks by decision right now is plus 150. And to be able to get a plus number that's even better than what you could get on the Gatto money line for Ciara's best win condition here. And the way that she just fights at 125 is she smothers her opponents. She doesn't give up many opportunities down there on the ground, and she grinds out rounds, wins a bunch of control time positions, and easily banks rounds there to get decisions. So at plus 150, I think it's a pretty good number, but obviously we have to worry about what she looks like on the scale, whether she makes weight, and how Melissa Gatto looked too. So no bet on this yet, but that seems like the spot that's sticking out the most to me.
Yeah, Gatto looked really good on the scales. I think she was like one of the very first couple up there, but yeah, definitely concerned Eubanks not weighing in yet. We'll have to see that when it comes. Narco, you liking anything for this fight here?
I don't have anything, but I will say Gatto's improving. The one thing you got to see is she's only 25, so we're going to see improvements from her, especially in the striking realm. Ciara Eubanks, 36 years old. She's fought the way better competition. She knows what she's doing on the ground. I mean, the girl's a black belt in BJJ. It's not like Melissa, if she takes this to the ground, she's going to just wash her because she's very competent down there. But the one thing I'll say is, man, Melissa Gatto is on some shit, man. God damn it, that back of hers is like unbelievable, like ripped, big. I mean, she was off for 3 years, okay, from 2018 to 2021, and she came back completely looking different. So her striking looks different. I mean, the girl goes for submissions, even though she fought a girl, Victoria Leonardo, who probably like broke her arm in that first round, and was fighting with one arm competitively, I guess, for the next, one round. But here, like Sijara Eubanks, I need to see her on the scale, man. Like, I don't know, this is back down to 125, and I'm just not sure what she's going to look like. And it's taking longer and longer, and it's getting sketchier and sketchier as it goes. So I had Eubanks decision plus 150 as my best bet, but I don't know, honestly. I'm just going to stay away completely from this fight. I'll give you Eubanks decision plus 150, but I want nothing to do with this fight now.
Yeah, this fight really sketches me out for a ton of reasons. And the first one being, Eubanks, I think she's gonna have a lot of advantages in this fight, but she's now 36 years old. She's cutting down to 125 once again, like you mentioned. She's somebody that has struggled on the scales in the past at 135, and we're 25 minutes to go in weigh-ins, and she still has not weighed in yet. We got to worry about her getting up there in age. We got to worry about the cardio. How's that weight cut going to affect her? We have seen her slow down in fights before, so that is all very sketchy. But when you look at Melissa Gatto and you go back and watch some of her fights as of in the past, she looks atrocious. I mean, she's getting taken down very easily. She's very content to just lay on her back, throw up submissions, and I was very unimpressed with what I saw in Gatto a few years ago. But she took 3 years off. She came back and she looked better than ever. The striking was there. I mean, you go back and watch some of her old fights. The striking is completely non-existent, and she showed solid striking. She looked, physically, like you said, Narco, a lot better as well. And I think a mistake that a lot of people do at times is, thinking you go back and watch a couple of fights from, years ago, and people think that, young fighters can't make improvements. And, that's all they're going to do is make improvements. So yes, Gatto looked like an absolute bum 3 years ago, but she's very young. She's 25 now. She was like 22, 23 at the time. I think she's made, so many improvements. So that's where I kind of struggle here. We did see in the Leonardo fight where Gatto was still making some, mistakes. She's definitely submission over position, and you don't want to do that against Eubanks. I could potentially see her getting stuck on bottom, and I will go with Eubanks, and I'll go Eubanks straight, but I thought I would be playing Eubanks, but I'm just this definitely does sketch me out here. And I did think more money would come in on Gatto as well. It looked like on Tapology, 70% are picking Gatto. So I'm going to take Eubanks money line, but not a ton of confidence in it.
She just missed weight, 127.5, and she looks like shit.
Oh, well, there you go. Even more reason to pass. My goodness.
How about I got a good one? Gatto round 3.
Yeah. What is Gatto round 3? That could be interesting.
It's got to be long, and I just think now that she's missing weight, she's always had like some cardio like concerns at 125, and now she missed weight and she looks like shit. Play Gatto round 3, honestly.
Gatto round 3 plus 1,800.
18.
Yeah, that's going to be my best bet now.
Yeah, I'm watching her weigh in now. Yeah, she doesn't look good, and then she missed weight. Yeah, I mean, that cut's a concern. So I'm glad I did not pull the trigger. I'm glad I waited because, how's the cardio going to look like if she does not finish? Yeah, she looks bad. So, yeah, it's a pass for me. Liam, what do you like here? Are you on the Gatto side? Are you on the Eubanks side? What are you liking?
Yeah, so this is a fight that I've been waffling on all week. When I first started looking into it, I was like, this seems like a pretty clear style matchup for me, for Sijara Eubanks, and I saw a lot of love on the other side. So I was like, let me investigate a little bit more. All I remembered was that Gatto wasn't very well regarded coming into her UFC bout with Leonardo. So then when I looked into this fight, what I saw was that, I think Sijara is probably going to get and control top position for, early portions of this fight. I think Gatto, the problem with her game is that she's a little reckless with her offensive grappling. Like she wants to get in there and trade submission positions. And the problem is Sijara is like pretty high level, not even with her offense, just with her control. Like she will just move past the guard, control position from top. I think the danger here, though, is that she is gassy. Now we know, the weight is a concern for this fight. You would have figured it would be because she's 36, trying to cut down to a new weight class. So I think all those things point to, I think it's interesting. Fight goes to decision is the same price as the Sajara money line. And I think that Sajara's best path to win this fight was by decision. And I think that, when you look at all of her career losses, 6 out of 6 career losses are by decision. I think it's hard to ignore Gatto by decision at plus 333. If you think that she's going to gas out, maybe she starts giving up controlled positions, to Gatto. But I think Gatto is going to be looking for subs, and I don't know that she's going to submit Sajara. If she just unloaded with ground and pound, maybe she will get the finish. I just think, Sajara, even when gassed, is probably going to have enough competency from her past life as a practitioner of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to just hold position and try and control posture and just not get finished.
Yeah, I feel. I mean, I'd be pretty surprised if Gatto did submit a legit black belt in Eubanks, but I was also pretty surprised when Clay Guida submitted Santos. So I mean, I don't know, anything could happen. But yeah, this fight is so sketchy, and it looks like Justin Tafa just missed weight. What's going on? 267.5 pounds, Justin Tafa. What is going on, Tafa? You all right?
Oh my God!
He won.
And people say this bum should be minus 350. Jesus.
Minus 350 and this is a first. This has never happened in the UFC, if I'm not mistaken. How the fuck do you miss they give you a 1 pound allowance.
Hey, did you get
265.5 would have worked.
He looked drained at 267.5. He looked horrible.
Harry Hunsucker plus 1,300 by first round knockout right now on FanDuel.
Play it.
I already did, boys. I already did.
I did too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. I'm going to have to throw a tenth of a unit on that. Oh my God. That is so bad. It is so bad.
The under 1.5 even looks better now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
But yeah, that's nuts. We'll talk about that fight next. You want to catch up with the chat? The chat is going crazy. Let's see. Best PED suspension ever for Gatto. Yeah, the suspension did definitely treat her right. Eubanks, is the fight even going to happen? I think it does happen. I would imagine it does. PayPal saying Gatto round 2. PayPal saying 267.5 for Tafa. Yeah, that is nuts. Sean saying Weezy 2024. Tafa's a good pick. Yeah, Billy, I told you Wednesday Brady it's iCarly season. Yeah, she looks just like our iCarly. It's nuts. You can't unsee it now. What else do we got here? I think we got about everything. Harry Hunsucker by sub. Harry Hunsucker actually is a brown belt in BJJ. We'll talk about that more. But from a DraftKings perspective, in terms of the Eubanks fight, I think it's very interesting. I think Gatto is one of the more intriguing dogs on the entire slate. Has a ton of upside with their striking. And if that weight cut did affect Eubanks, I like that even more. Eubanks 8,700, I think, is kind of a sneaky play if she can take down Gatto, rack up takedowns at control time. I think she can put up a big score there. But yeah, good fight to target on DraftKings. And speaking of good fight to target, we have the People's Main Event. This is personally my favorite fight on the card. Justin Tafa, Harry Hunsucker. Both guys have weighed in. Hunsucker weighed in, I want to say it was like 236, something like that. He looked, or 237, something like that. He looked good. Justin Tafa obviously just missed weight, which is insane. But yeah, we'll let you kick this one off. Liam, what are you liking for this heavyweight fight?
Yeah, so you guys mentioned it already. I think there was kind of just a broken line on this fight with the plus 1,300 KO round 1 for Hunsucker. A lot of his win equity is tied up in the first round based on his career. And he kind of swings wildly and recklessly and tries to get in the pocket. I think in terms of benefits for the Hunsucker side, he looked not in great physical condition for some of his previous fights. He looks in much better physical condition for this fight. So potentially, Hunsucker is going to make everybody cry by stretching this out to round 2 or something. But I think that this is just a pretty sloppy heavyweight fight. Like, do I think Tafa's better? Sure. But do I think that it matters enough to make the line minus 350? I don't really buy that. I think both of these guys are kind of reckless, like stand in the pocket and swing kind of fighters. And against Carlos Felipe, that's one thing. He doesn't really pack a tremendous punch. But I think that Harry Hunsucker, you could say anything you want about the guy. He does throw like bombs in his hands. It's just he doesn't have, many ancillary skills to build the game around outside of that. But like you talked about, has a background in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. Maybe this is the guy that he could actually exploit, because Justin Tafa is just like, I feel like well overrated based on what he's accomplished in his career so far. He's like a 4-3 heavyweight with regional level wins, and people are making him minus 400 here. It's, all right, good luck.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy. Looks like Tafa tried to weigh in again, and he went down to, I think, 267. But yeah, still missed weight. Pretty crazy there. And then also looks like Chiasson just missed weight by a ton. I think it was like 149, something crazy like that. Yeah, 148.5 for Chiasson. So that's crazy as well.
I'm gonna guess she was the one that asked for it to be moved up to 145.
There we go.
Something tells me. Something tells me.
100%. But Narco, this heavyweight fight here, you liking anything for it?
Yeah, I mean, I have a pretty decent sized bet on the under 1.5. Like I mentioned, I like it even more. But one thing you guys mentioned, or I don't know who mentioned it, that the Hunsucker submission, plus 900. Listen, I know he doesn't use it, but man, have you guys seen Tafa off his back? This guy has no fucking idea what he's doing down there. And Hunsucker has some submissions on his resume. So, like, if he decides to, now that he's in better shape, maybe he kind of thinks like, you know what, I do have some cardio to grapple here and try to take this guy down. That line is wide to me. Like, I think if he gets him to the ground, honestly, Tafa's pretty much screwed because he knows what he's doing and Tafa does not know what he's doing at all down there. So, yeah, Hunsucker by submission plus 950. I think the under 1.5 is still like plus 190. Mm-hmm. I still don't mind it, honestly. I think one way or another, this fight ends, early.
Yep, for sure. I'm right there with you. I like the under 1.5 rounds as well. Billy mentioned in the chat, the fight won't start round 2 minus 120. I think that even has some value there. Really hard to picture this fight going into the second round, especially, in a small cage, especially the way that Hunsucker does fight. Yes, he does look in a lot better shape, but I still think someone's going to sleep here and going to sleep very, very early. I do think Tafa wins, but yeah, this price is just insane. I mean, Tafa is not a guy you should be betting minus 315, minus 350 against anybody in the UFC. I know Harry Hunsucker is probably the worst UFC heavyweight in history, but still, I mean, Hunsucker does do some things that I like. Looking in better shape, it would not completely shock me if Hunsucker pulled it off, but I think the best way to play this is that under. It has got steamed all week, but I still think it's pretty solid at minus 192 there. Weezy, what do you like for this heavyweight fight here?
Yeah, just not overthinking this at all. Fight doesn't go to decision, minus 400 on Bet Online. I put a couple units on it to win a half unit. If I could parlay it up, I would be parlaying it up, but can't do that on Bet Online. I know that there's a lot of cheeky props for this fight. It probably ends in the first round, but I just feel like if this thing actually did go to decision, it would be just one of the biggest miracles of the entire year. So at minus 400, play it up however you want and just, add a little bit of money to your bank account there. And we're going to move on to next year on some wins.
Sounds good. Yeah, if this fight went to decision, I would be very, very upset. But from a DraftKings perspective, we do see that Tafa's 9,400, Hunsucker is 6,800. And I like both sides here. I think Justin Tafa has first round upside. And I think Harry Hunsucker is one of the more intriguing pump plays on the slate at 6,800 if he does win. Again, I think it is in the first round. Very good fight to target there. But we'll keep moving on. We have the next fight. Raoni Barcelos going against Victor Henry. We'll start with you, Narco. What do you like for this fight here?
I love Raoni Barcelos overall. Like, going back and watching that fight, the last fight in which he lost, I have no idea how he did not get a 10-8 round in that second round. I mean, he had the guy inches close to getting stopped, and some guys would have stopped it. Had 2 knockdowns in that round. I mean, he had the guy almost out of there. How do you not give him a 10-8 there? Somehow, 2 of the judges did not give him 10-8, so he ends up losing the fight. But that was against Valiev, and I'm really high on that guy. That guy's a really, really good fighter, really high level fighter. The one loss he had, against Trevin Jones was obviously, just him gassing out, going for the kill. On the flip side with Henry here, I watched a lot of his regional tape, And the guy, he's really awkward when it comes to striking. He's not a lot of power, but man, his kicking game is really, really good. A lot of kicks to the stomach, teep kicks, to those body kicks. The guy throws a lot of kicks in general to the calf. He has really, really good scrambling ability. I love his scrambling. Like, this guy is really good. The loss that he had to that Levitt guy, that guy is really good too, man. I watched some of his tape, and that's not a slouch that he's losing to. So, looking at Victor Henry, he's got wins over Kyler Phillips, Anderson Dos Santos. So those are UFC guys that he's beat. This guy's not like that regional late replacement guy that you think of normally. So for me, Henry by decision plus 600. I think he's not knocking out Barcelos. He's not subbing Barcelos. The guy's plus 275, and I think his most likely win equity here is going to be by decision, and you're getting a huge line. Even though I think Barcelos wins here because I really like Barcelos, but this guy Henry throws a ton of volume, man, and he's been 5 rounds many times. So, getting plus, 650 now, even though I think Barcelos wins, I think that line is off. So, yeah, Henry by decision plus 650.
Yep, sounds good to me. Yeah, Henry's not a bum or anything. He has, like you said, wins over good guys. He has solid cardio, toughness as well. Yeah, it's not a bad look there. Liam, how about you? What are you looking at for this fight?
What's so funny is I completely agree with Narco here. I took a look at the fight goes to decision at minus 120. I took a look at Henry via decision at plus 650. And then also, this is a book that I don't have access to at this time, DraftKings, but they've got split decision at plus 2,200. And I think if you're just trying to take a flyer here, I think the fight to end by split decision is like a decent plus number, like plus 400 or something. Barcelos, he's the better fighter by most metrics. Like you would think he's got better skills in every position. He's just less active in every position. So I feel like there's a door open to Henry sneaking out a win he doesn't deserve here. But I think Barcelos is going to be the better fighter, going to land the more meaningful shots. He's got the crisper defense, I think. But I like the attitude of this guy, Victor Henry. A lot of guys come into the UFC with the wrong attitude. Like, I'm happy to be here, and I'm glad I got the opportunity. He was like, hey, I got to get in there and I got to punch him in his face. And, it's a fight and whatever. He is just like a fighter to his core. Doesn't seem like he gives a shit who he's fighting or where. And I think that for that reason alone, he's not going to be beat before he gets there. I think that Barcelos, if he chooses to make this a grappling match, could have tremendous upside. I think plus 500 Barcelos sub is the best Barcelos method prop, but I think overall this is a good fight, a fun scrap. I expect Barcelos to win the early rounds and, Henry maybe to work his way back in late. But I do think that this should just be good fun and reasonably well-matched fight for a short notice replacement.
Yep, sounds good. I like the one prop you mentioned, the fight goes decision, sitting at plus 120 on DraftKings. I mean, both guys are very, very tough. Henry, ton of fights on his record. He's fought some really good guys. He's never been finished not by submission or knockout. I think this does go to decision. I don't hate that plus money at plus 120. Billy saying check your books over 1.5 rounds on BetMGM was only minus 150. Yeah, I would love that. Minus 150 over 1.5 there. But yeah, I think this does go over. I think it does go to decision. I think Barcelos does win that decision, but just give me the fight goes at plus 120. I think it goes to decision there. Wheezy, how about you? What do you like for this fight?
Yeah, I mean, I got Barcelos down as my ass shaving of the week. I think he should dominate here. He's just better than Henry everywhere. Everybody knows who Honey Barcelos is. Everybody knows his stand-up is fantastic. This dude wrestles with the Brazilian Olympic team. His ground game is fantastic. He's fantastic everywhere. Could he death gas late in the fight? Kind of like how he did against Valiev when he was trying to finish him there in the second round, potentially, but I agree with Narco Cop 100%. He did not lose that fight by any stretch of the imagination. He did not. So he should still be undefeated in the UFC. This kid Henry's taking him on short notice, 9 days notice. And he's got wins over UFC veterans like Kanahara and Morales and, Phillips, guys that have been around the block. But I think Barcelos is a next level test here. You guys were saying that you think the fight goes to decision, and right now the Barcelos money line on DraftKings is -350, but Barcelos by decision is +175. Huge swing in implied probability there, going from somewhere around 78% implied probability to in the 40s in the implied probability. I like that quite a bit, actually, because Victor Henry in his 6 losses has never been finished, or maybe it's only 5 losses, but he's never been finished. So I do like that spot quite a bit. But Barcelos money line is a nice parlay piece, and Barcelos by decision at +175 on DraftKings is a great play as well.
Yeah, that line actually does stick out to me quite a bit. I think that's pretty solid there. From a DraftKings perspective, I don't love this fight a ton. I think Barcelos would be interesting at 9,300, but there are some guys I like a lot more that we'll talk about later in the card. So, yeah, I don't see myself playing this fight too much on DraftKings, but I think it should be a very, very fun fight there. But yeah, it looks like we're all on the same page for the most part there. Dan saying 133 in chat, 49 likes. Come on, we have a pausable thumbs up for a reason. Hit that like. I agree. Let's hit that like. Let's see if we can get to 100 by the time we get out of here. Do appreciate all the likes. Okay, Robbie's saying last card of the year 2021. Smash the like button. I agree with that as well. But we'll move on to the next fight here, and we have Gerald Meerschaert going against Dustin Stoltzfus. We'll start with you, Narco. You liking anything for this fight here?
Fight doesn't start round 3, -115. I just kind of think Meerschaert is just a guy that just, most of his fights do not go to decision. Most of his fights kind of end early, whether it be, him getting stopped or him stopping the other person. And here, I think if he decides to grapple here, I think he's going to, Stoltzfus kind of knows what he's doing, but I mean, Meerschaert is much better on the ground. I think he can sub him. And even on the feet, Meerschaert, didn't look out of place against Muradov. He came back from taking a beating and he gave back that beating to Muradov, who's a much better striker than Stoltzfus is. But again, money line here, I would not touch Meerschaert. I just can't trust him at this price. But I do think he's the better fighter than Stoltzfus. So I think that just the fight doesn't start round 3 at -115 is not bad. Because I do think Stoltzfus might be able to hurt him on the feet also.
Yeah, I definitely think that's solid. I'm thinking violence here as well. I went with the fight doesn't go to decision -175. I just think this line is pretty off considering Meerschaert. This is a guy that has, double check. He has 47 fights. He's been to decision, I think, 5 times in 47 fights, a 94% finish rate. He's been finished in 11 out of 14 losses as well. This is a guy that does not go to decision, win or lose. So, yeah, I think there's a good chance that Meerschaert can come out here and finish him. But, would it completely shock me if, Stoltzfus gave Meerschaert his 12th finish loss? Not really, but I think Meerschaert does finish him here. But, yeah, Stoltzfus is a black belt in BJJ. That is a little bit concerning. But like you mentioned, Narco, I think that Meerschaert is, a lot better grappler than Stoltzfus, black belt or not. But, yeah, give me the fight doesn't go to decision, -175. I think there's some decent value on that in a Gerald Meerschaert fight. Weezy, how about you? What do you like for this fight here?
It's a big stay away from me, man. I like Meerschaert to win this fight. And, you mentioned the finishing numbers on this guy. 33 professional wins from Meerschaert, 31 of them inside the distance. So when he wins inside the distance. I do like him to win this fight, but I'm not paying up -230 for him. So the value here for me is Meerschaert inside the distance. You can get it at +100, but I'm not going to be betting that. Meerschaert by submission at +180 on FanDuel has a little bit more juice to it. And, he's a submission grappler. I mean, and that's the only way that Stoltzfus has ever been finished. He's only been finished once, and it was by submission. So, I mean, if anybody could submit anybody, Meerschaert's always live for one. I mean, I think the guy's got something like 22 or 23 career submission victories. So, yeah, I'll say Meerschaert inside the distance at +100, but I'm not betting it.
Yep, sounds good. I think that's how I'd play it as well. Meerschaert inside the distance. I think that is how he wins, and it does improve that -230, whatever he's at. Liam, how about you? What are you liking for this fight here?
Yeah, man, this is a fight that, GM3 is one of my favorite fighters, full disclosure, in the UFC. So try not to approach this one with too much bias. Didn't play him on the money line, for example. I like backing GM3 when he's a dog. I've done so and had it burn me. I did have that ticket against Khamzat Chimaev. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. And I also had him when he beat Makhmudmuradov. So I think that, I have a decent enough read on GM3's fights. I think he's underrated as a striker. I think that, he can get hit and get hurt and get finished. And that's always scary. But Dustin Stoltzfus was like kind of going pitter-patter punching with Rodolfo Vieira, I thought, last time, and getting busted up a little bit. And Rodolfo had never really shown much class on the feet as a striker. So, I don't think Stoltzfus is the guy. But I think he has some decent grappling credentials. Maybe GM3 can't like insta sub him. And then it becomes, just a GM3 fight where it's on the edge of disaster at all times, but GM3 is probably winning it. And then I think what's interesting is, if you want to get cute with this, fight ends in round 3 or by decision, I think is at a plus number. And GM3, a lot of his fights actually make it to that 3rd round. And then he gets the finish in the 3rd round. But we've also seen that guys that don't want to like grapple with him, or who are afraid to grapple with him, they can kind of just turn into like a fight where GM3 is chasing you with body kicks, and not a ton happens. So, like the Eric Anders fight is the one that comes to mind for me there, where I thought GM3 won that fight. But again, that's the reason why backing GM3 as a favorite is tough. I think that the fight is more likely than not going to play out for, 7.5 minutes or over. And then GM3 will find a finish in the later portion of the fight.
Yep, sounds good. Looks like we're all about on the same page there. But yeah, Meerschaert minus 230. I actually don't hate that, to be honest. I just think he's better everywhere, more experienced, more dangerous. But I think the best move for me is just going to be to pass there. As far as DK goes, yeah, don't hate Meerschaert 9,000. I think he obviously has finishing upside, 94% finish rate. Don't see myself getting too much Stoltzfus at 7,200 though. But we'll keep moving on to the next fight. We have Cub Swanson going against Darren Elkins. We'll stick with you, Liam. What do you like for this fight here?
Yeah, so I've had a complete 180 on this fight. I started out thinking that Darren Elkins at plus 185 was a value spot that I liked, locked that bet in. And I started going back and digging through the tape, and I had a memory of the Derek Minner fight where, the grappling's really competitive, and then, Darren is able to, come out on top, get the win. And when I rewatched the tape, I'm like, holy shit, like Derek Minner very nearly knocked him out. Like he was badly, badly hurt by elbows on the ground there. And I think that, Cub Swanson, I had these visions in my head. I'm like, yeah, he got subbed by Moicano. Wasn't a great look. Then I go back. He got club and subbed. He's hurt badly, got tangled up in the grappling. And Moicano is actually like very class in the grappling. He's proven that more than once. When he is on the ground with somebody, he finishes them fast. So I think that was just a tough look for him. Then he gets finished by Brian Ortega, like literally the best guillotine in MMA, maybe one of them. So it's like, okay, I think that the guys who are submitting him are a class above Darren Elkins, to be honest with you. Like Darren is like a persistent submission grappler. I like his heart, his toughness, all that stuff. But he was losing positions over and over against Derek Minner, taking the back, falling off the top. And those are the kind of mistakes that Cub Swanson can punish. I think that Cub, the Pineda fight is the blueprint here. Keep him off you, stuff his hips, and do damage as much as you can. I don't think that Darren Elkins is as clever as Pineda is in the striking. I think that Darren Elkins is going to be in for a tough fight unless he's able to stick out a lot of damage here. But that becomes harder and harder to do the older you get, the more times you've had your face busted open and bled all over the place. I know Derek Minner is a guy who's prone to fall apart. I don't know Cub Swanson as that guy. I know him instead as a guy who sometimes makes positional mistakes in the grappling, trying to shoot back up to his feet. But I don't think that Elkins is like such a lockdown grappler that it's over for him if he does make one mistake. So I like Cub. I like him to win the fight inside the distance. And I think Cub by KO is going to be my pick here, plus 300. I'm in that for a decent bit.
We lose Liam.
Looks like he locked up, but I want to echo my sentiments about everything that he said because, okay, there we go.
We're back.
Sorry about that, gentlemen. Yeah, what I was saying was I communicate back and forth from time to time with Just Win Babies, number one tracked on betmma.tips. And, he was the one that cautioned me against the Elkins play. I went back, did more of my due diligence, and I was like, I think he's got a good angle here. So plus 300 on the KO for Swanson. Rest of the market has sort of collapsed on that number FanDuel is still hanging it, I'm in for a decent play myself.
There you go, Wheezy.
Yeah, I'm just going to echo everything Liam said. At the beginning of the week, I was on Elkins. I thought he was scrappier. I thought he wanted to win this more. And then when I went back and I watched the Pineda fight, Cub Swanson was getting his legs destroyed there. He never quit. He never stopped coming forward. He looked like he wanted to win that fight the entire time. And when you go back and you watch the tape on Elkins, he's losing a lot of these fights, and it seems like, he kind of needs to have that comeback, and I just don't want to play. I don't want to bet on him here. I think Cub's the better fighter. He's way better on the feet, and he's faced a lot better wrestlers than Elkins. So yeah, Cub Swanson money line at like minus 190-ish right now is about as good as you can get it, and that's where I would bet.
Yep, I'm right there with you. Swanson money line as well, minus 189. Yeah, I just think it's a solid matchup for him. You take a look at Swanson. Yes, he's been submitted a million times, but you take a look at who he's been submitted by, and it's like really, really good grapplers within the last 10 years. And then also his takedown defense could be an issue, but you look back in his last, in the last 5 to 6 years, his takedown defense looks to be a lot better. When you go back and watch some fights from 10 years ago, yes, he's getting taken down a lot, but yeah, as of late, especially in his last 6 fights, I think he's been taken down only 2 times. So yeah, I think he stuffs the takedowns, keeps on the outside, picks apart Darren Elkins, potentially finishes them. But yeah, give me a Swanson money line, a minus 189 bet online there. Narco, are you on the Swanson side like us? Or are you looking the other way?
Man, I am right there with you guys, and right with whatever Liam said. I mean, fucking Darren Elkins, man. This guy's a punching bag, and this guy's been hurt. Guys, go back and watch Garagori hurt this guy really bad. Go back and watch Ryan Hall, guys, hurt this guy and knocked him down twice. Nate the Train. I mean, Ryan Hall rocked this guy, guys. His chin is going. And if you've ever seen anybody that's chin is going, it's now. And it's, even though Swanson's older here somehow, he's older than Darren Elkins. But in fight years, I think Darren Elkins is about 20 years older here. And I honestly think, his chin is going, and Cub can crack. Cub has good striking, and I just think Cub is going to knock this guy out. And you're getting a plus 300 line. I really like that line. I have played that line, and I think Cub is going to just knock this dude out. His chin is going, and I think this is going to be the last of it.
I like it. I like that call quite a bit. Yeah, all definitely does make sense. From a DK perspective, I think Swanson's very interesting. I don't think he's going to have a ton of ownership, 8,800, like you mentioned, potentially finish upside here. And then as far as Darren Elkins, 7,400, I don't mind some Darren Elkins as well. If he does win, it's probably because he is able to get takedowns. Don't necessarily see a finish, but the takedowns could potentially add up. So yeah, interesting fight to target on DraftKings. But we'll move on to probably one of the best, if not the best fight on the entire card. Outside of the Hunsucker fight, it's going to be Mateus Gamrot going against Diego Ferreira. We will start with you, Wheezy. What are you liking for this fight here?
So I have a 3/4 of 1 unit bet on Carlos Diego Ferreira's money line here. The level of competition that these guys have faced is not really that close at this point. And when you want to talk about a lightweight who has been unfortunate enough to face some of the best wrestlers in that division, which is chock full of them, it's CDF. The guy has been, wrestled by the best. Ever since he came into the UFC, he's been going up against Colton Smith, Ramsey Nijam, Beneil Dariush twice, Rustam Khabilov, most recently Gregor Gillespie. And, when he's winning exchanges on the ground with some of these wrestlers, he's winning rounds against some of the best wrestlers that 155 has ever produced. And in addition to that, his striking is damn good too. He's very well-rounded. He's very well-tested. I think that this fight is going to be close. I think Mateus Gamrot probably wins it more times than he loses it if they were to fight 100 times. But I think the value at plus 160 on CDF is it's a nice edge over how close I think that this fight is actually going to play out. CDF has been tested by much tougher, much better fighters than Gamrot, even though Gamrot's 6 years younger and really is probably he's the one with the momentum right now. I just think that this is going to be a very, very tough test. I think this fight does go to decision, and I think it's going to be a real close, greasy war, and I'm going with CDF.
Yep, I'm right there with you. I didn't, pull the trigger on it, but it is tempting because you take a look at Gamrot. I think minus 200 on some books now. I think Ferreira's getting a little bit disrespected here. I mean, you take a look at his last two losses, Beneil Dariush and then also Gregor Gillespie, like two very legit guys. And I also think Gamrot's a very legit guy. I mean, I really like a lot what I see from Gamrot. He's going to have, he has very good cardio. He's going to have the cardio advantage. He has very good output. I like his striking. He has good wrestling. He's a black belt in BJJ. It's just Ferreira has fought the much better competition, and it's not even close. Ferreira is very well-rounded in his own right. Ferreira, a third-degree black belt in BJJ. I just feel like this fight could play out a lot closer than the line does indicate. So I'm going to pick Gamrot to win, but I'm with you, Easy. I think the value is definitely on Ferreira, plus 164 at this point. Narco, how about you? What are you liking for this fight?
Hot take for you guys. I have Gamrot round 3 plus 1200. And the reasoning is, again, Ferreira looked like shit on the scales. He barely made weight. Gamrot is a machine, man. I know who Ferreira's fought, and it's much better, but man, this guy is really, really impressive. This guy has high level grappling skills himself. The striking, I think, is much better, much smoother. I think this guy's the real deal, man. And Gamrot, the cardio is there. Ferreira, barely making weight, having to, use the little thing to get on the scale and barely make weight and be happy about it. It was not a good look. So getting Gamrot round 3 plus 1200, I think is value here, because I think the later this fight goes, I think Ferreira's going to get tired, and Gamrot just isn't, man. And this guy has a lot of finishes late in fights. So he keeps it up. He keeps the power up. He keeps the grappling up. So I like the plus 1200.
Yeah, makes sense. Ferreira does slow down. He could potentially get him out of there. Ferreira is, 36 years old now, so we'd have to talk about that as well. Yeah, it makes sense to me. Liam, how about you? What do you like for this fight?
I'm going to have to echo a lot of what Narco's sentiments were on this fight. I get everybody's angle on CDF, right? But I feel like I've been down this road a couple times with him. I feel like the Beneil Dariush fight should be a winnable fight for him, to be honest. Like if he's going to make a run in the lightweight division, that's the fight he's got to take. It's a stylistic matchup that favors him in some ways, and he got out-positioned, out-controlled. Disappointed me there. Then against, Gregor, he tries to make it a dogfight. Let's get into all the scrambles. Let's, let me proactively grapple. Let me try and get my game going here when he's wrestling. And I thought he did pretty well. He is excellent in the first round with his back takes, with his bullying top position. I think he's pretty tremendous at that stuff. I think that's going to be tough to establish against somebody like Gamrot. I think Gamrot's the better wrestler of the two. I think that the grappling should be quite close. I think it's going to be competitive. CDF Fresh is an amazing grappler, tires out pretty fast. Also, I think that the faster guy on the feet is going to be Gamrot by, a decent degree. And so I think Gamrot's going to be able to switch stances, mix up his offense, land some good shots. And I think in addition, when the fight gets, pressure based, when CDF tries to lay something on him, I think he could level change reactively. I think he could get in on the takedowns, and I think he could bail himself out. It's actually like a blessing and a curse, right? Gamrot doesn't really get prolonged periods of control time on top. He normally takes somebody down and then lets them back up after a time. And that's almost like the right thing to do against this guy. Take him down, let him up, take him down, let him up, and he's going to be gassed. And I think that would be a smart move for Gamrot. I think Gamrot, final round or via decision is plus 130. I like that spot. I think fight doesn't go the distance. At plus 110 is a decent look. If you think Carlos Diego Ferreira wins this fight, I think more often than not, he's got to get it done inside the distance. I think that Gamrot just has the better optics if this fight goes for 15 minutes to win the fight more often than not. And then, Gamrot money line is a play that I am going to be on, trying to wait and see as low as it will go. There's been action on the other side. So I want to see, minus 180 is the cap on what I'd play it at in all likelihood. But I think that, minus 175 is possible. And if I can get that, I'd be happy about it.
Yep, there you go. I mean, on DraftKings, 8,500 for Gamrot. I do like him a lot. This guy's going to have wrestling upside. Like you said, good cardio, good volume. I think Gamrot in a win does put up a pretty good score at 8,500. So he's somebody I'm looking at from a DraftKings perspective for sure. But we'll keep moving on up the card. We have Ricky Simón going against Rafael Assuncao. We'll start with you, Narco. What do you like for this fight here?
You know, I like Simón here. Like Assuncao, 39 years old, trajectory is going down. You know, you look at this guy's wins, you know, earlier in the UFC. I mean, he has some really, really impressive wins. TJ Dillashaw, Pedro Munoz, you know, Aljamain Sterling, Marlon Moraes, Rob Font. I mean, some of the best guys he's beaten. But now you come back and he's on a 3-fight losing streak. He withdrew twice, you know, once for COVID, once for a biceps injury against Phillips. I think he was hurt. And now, you know, this guy's up there in age, man. He's 39. He's going up against a young, hungry guy in Ricky Simón, who's only 29. So you got one guy going down. You got one guy going up. I always like the guy that's going up. I think Ricky Simón wins this fight everywhere. I think he's going to, if he wants to wrestle, he can take this guy down. I think he's going to have the better striking here. I honestly like Simón inside the distance plus 225. I just think Assuncao is toast at this point, to be honest. I think he's done.
Yep, I'm definitely with you there. Wheezy, so I did get word that you have to go pretty soon. So do you want to kind of break down this fight and then give your quick picks for the last, how much more? We have 3 more after that.
Yeah, let's do that because, it just some work stuff absolutely popped up at the last minute, and I do need to run. But, I mean, Ricky Simón here would be the first bet that I would just go with the money line. You know, Assuncao, 39-year-old bantamweight. That is just bad news. Add the 3-fight losing streak. What is he fighting for at this point of his career? He's never going to be champion. And Simon's got his whole career in front of him, very young, and he's fought really good competition in the UFC. So I like Simón quite a bit here. There's a ton of money coming in on Angela Hill, and I see why the line should be closing here. Hill's fought the much better competition. She's never been finished. Lemos does not look like she's at her best after the first round. I think it's going to wind up being a little bit closer. I tried a small sprinkle on Angela Hill, round 3 plus 3,200. Just a high upside play. Why not? And see, you hear Bootsy barking in the background, so maybe we got an underdog play that's actually going to cash here. And then we got Bilal Muhammad against Stephen Thompson. I like the Stephen Thompson money line here at minus 210. Bilal, you know, I think Bilal can make this fight very greasy, but I don't think he can win enough minutes to actually win the fight. But I do think that it will go to decision. So Stephen Thompson by decision will probably be my best way to play that one. And then on the main event, I just want to say fight doesn't go to decision. You know, these guys both have a ton of power. We've never really seen Daukaus out of the second round in the UFC, and prior to the UFC, we did not see him faring well once the fight went on. So somebody will get finished in that fight. Fight doesn't go to decision. A nice little parlay piece. And then you can always hedge out at the end if you do have that as your last piece and get maybe even plus 350, plus 400, hedge out of the parlay. And hopefully we win some money on this last UFC card of the year. Thanks, everybody in the chat that's hanging out. I apologize for having to leave early, but just a bunch of stuff going on with work right now that I got to take care of. So good luck to all you guys on all your bets. Liam, Narco Cop, DFS by the numbers. Thank you for having me on. I'm afraid I got to run though.
Take care.
For sure, man.
All right, you guys take care. Good luck, everybody.
All right. Good luck.
You well, Wheezy.
All right. We'll see you guys.
All right, there you go. Yeah, go check out Wheezy on Twitter, MMA Wheezy, and then also go check out his YouTube channel. He's getting really close to 1K subs. I think he's like less than 50 away, so go check him out and go sub to him. All right, Wheezy, go get to work.
Thanks, fellas. Good luck on all your bets. We'll see you guys.
All right, we'll see you later.
All right.
All right. So, yeah, for me, it's going to be Ricky Simón, and it's just going to be I'm going to say Ricky Simón by decision plus 125. You know, Rafael Assuncao, he is 39 years old, bantamweight. Those things do not, sound good together. I think it's going to be, I don't know, I feel like it could be a little bit closer than the line does indicate. I don't feel comfortable laying minus 275 on Simón, but yeah, I don't hate the Ricky Simón by decision there. I think he's going to be able to mix in takedowns. And, on paper, Assuncao has very good takedown defense. I want to say it's like near 80%, but when you kind of look through his career, he's not fighting a ton of guys that are going to want to take him down. Whereas, Ricky Simón averages nearly 7 takedowns per 15 minutes, and he's also getting them at like over a 50% clip. So give me Simón here. Don't love the price tag, but give me Simón by decision to make it a little bit better. And that is around plus 125. Liam, how about you? What are you liking for this fight?
Yeah, so this is a fight where, I just watched back Ricky Simón against Rob Font a couple weeks back for the Font tape I was doing, and I was like, man, this was a fight that Ricky really should have won. And it was just like, small moments of indecision or, like costly errors. Like he got taken down by Font a handful of times after getting his own takedowns. And I do think Assuncao is like a decent enough counter wrestler. I don't think he's ever been taken down more than like 3 times in a UFC bout. And in those fights, he normally gets a takedown of his own as well. So it's like, I think that I could see Ricky, just doing more to get a decision here. Like that's what makes the most sense to me. But I feel like the odds makers have basically accounted for that. So if I was to look for like sneaky ways of playing this fight, I think that Assuncao's scorecards equal no action at plus 168. Not the worst look in the world. I think Assuncao has the same chance Uriah Faber did to time him and land an overhand right. Ricky is just a little bit hittable, entering the pocket sometimes, gets a little overexcited. And I think that, if he's trying to look for something exciting, trying to find a finish in this fight because he's got a big opportunity, that could be the kind of thing where he slips on a banana peel. It's happened to him before. But then either fighter to win by split decision, plus 400. Again, I just think that Assuncao kind of keeps a low volume style, but sneaks out rounds on people. He always has where he like greases these decisions where he only wins 2 minutes of the fight. And so Ricky has found ways to lose close split decisions before. But I think this is one that he's going to come out on top. I just think at plus 400, instead of just the Ricky by decision odds, that might make it a little more interesting. And it covers your bases in case Assuncao sneaks one like a weasel.
Yep, sounds good to me. I mean, I don't feel comfortable laying that chalk on Ricky Simón. I feel like it definitely could be close. So yeah, it definitely makes sense to me. From a DK standpoint, though, I really like Ricky Simón 9,200. A lot of takedown upside. Probably one of my favorite plays up in that 9K range. As far as the Assuncao, just don't see myself getting there. Very low volume. Could he finish Simón? I mean, it could happen, but I just don't think it's all that likely. So Simón for me on DraftKings 9,200. But we have 3 fights left. 3 really good fights. Looking forward to hearing you guys' thoughts. We'll start with you, Narco, on this first one here. Amanda Lemos, Angela Hill. What do you like on this fight right here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything on this fight. I do think the line is a tad wide, but man, I just can't. I can't come to play Hill here just because, man, this girl Lemos' power is insane. I mean, I think she can crack. She can crack really hard. I think, honestly, she can knock out Angela Hill here, even though Angela Hill is very, very durable. She's fought, really, really good high-level fighters. And I don't think she's ever been knocked out. I think she's been subbed 2 or 3 times, but she's never been knocked out. But also, she's never faced a puncher like Lemos. And honestly, Lemos KO plus 330 is what I'm looking at here. I just, I can't come to play Angela Hill here against Lemos.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think Lemos wins this fight more often than not. But yeah, I don't love the price tag. And she was like minus 400 at one point. It's now minus 300. That's getting a little bit better. But I still think it's a little too wide. I'm going to pick Lemos to win. But I guess a prop that did stick out from a Hill side was going to be Hill to win by decision, which is sitting around plus 500, plus 470. I think, the first round is more often than not going to go in Lemos' favor. But I think as the fight goes on, we have seen Lemos slow down in the past. Maybe Hill can make that second round competitive and then maybe take over in that third round. Maybe win a greasy split decision plus 470. I don't hate it, but I think Lemos more often than not does get the job done. It's just I'm not laying minus 300 on Amanda Lemos here. So I'll pick Lemos, but if I was to play anything, it would be that Hill by decision at plus 470. Liam, how about you? What do you like over this fight?
Yeah, so I haven't tracked this play, but I did get involved at the apex of the Angela Hill line at plus 310 because I felt like that line was not going to last. from a money line perspective, you try and think about how Amanda Lemos is going to pay off that price. And you'd have to think it's tied up in like a first round or second round finish, because even over the course of 15-minute fights, she's proven she can win them. But by no means was it a dominant performance in the Inoue fight. And then I think, moreover, you go back and look, that Leslie Smith fight, she's like performing the same way she does now, where she's like hitting her with hard shots, like being more effective, landing. But because she wasn't able to get the finish, like she like did a lot of damage, she just was spent. And it seems like she has a hard time turning off the 100%. So like she's going 100% on her kick. She's going 100% on her punch. And that means that you could do it like X amount of times before you're completely spent. And so she was completely spent against Leslie Smith, throwing 100% kicks and like knocking herself off balance. Like, I think if she hasn't been able to rein that back in, it's going to be a problem if Angela extends her. With all that being said, right now I've given all the credence to the Angela Hill side that I think she deserves. I think Angela Hill is probably going to get finished in the first round because the physicality is huge. Amanda Lemos, former 135er, Angela Hill, always been like a mid to small size 115 as far as I'm concerned. And so when you get this kind of fight, this kind of matchup, I think that Lemos should be able to put hands on her early and land some big effective shots. I think her durability should check out. Angela doesn't have like complete pitter patter punches. I've seen some people say that in the chat, but she's hurt girls. Not all that frequently, but she's definitely hurt girls in the UFC, including girls with decent enough chins. So I think that, Angela throws with some power, but not enough to get Amanda Lemos off her game here. I think if you want to play Angela for a sneaky prop, it's like Angela rounds 2 and 3 or something like that too, because we just saw it. Like Lemos, she did not look like she was getting hurt that bad by Leslie Smith. She couldn't stand up. She could not defend herself. She was just completely cardio gas. I think her body looks better now. I think that the strength she showed when she got that choke, I'm the girl's name is slipping my mind right now. Yes, when she choked out Granger, that choke is literally on the chin. It's not even on the throat. And she choked her completely unconscious, like stiff. I was like, Angela Hill, for all the other things that she does, is like a liability on the ground and always has been. And I think that, she's probably going to have to try and take down Lemos to avoid getting finished here. And so if that's the case, I could see opportunities for Lemos submission. I could see Lemos, hurting her and then following up with a submission on the ground. So at plus 1,100, I didn't hate that. And if you look at the rest of the market, it's just an outlier price. So that for me was something I was willing to take advantage of. Was pissed I missed the plus 1,400 that was active for most of the week. But I also have a small touch on fight ends by sub at plus 950. And that's because I think that covers mostly the Lemos sub equity. But Angela Hill has pursued submissions in some of her recent fights. As she's been getting exposed as like not able to win some striking battles with the likes of Tisha Torres, even she's out there wrestling a little bit, trying to grapple. I would not be stunned to see her do that here, especially if Lemos is tired. And if that's the case, like Lemos skill for skill, obviously better, but anybody when they're tired can get submitted. And we've seen that borne out several times now in these recent UFC fights where Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu legends are getting submitted by average fighters. And I think for that reason, Hill by sub at plus 3,500 isn't the worst bet on this card. I don't have any shares of that. I think Lemos is the one that gets the sub, but I'm just saying, man, I think you could do worse than that, given that it might be Angela's way to win this fight outside of a decision. It's just like, I don't see many paths to Angela winning the fight that aren't contingent on the death gas on the other side. I think Lemos fresh is just a better fighter.
Hey, Liam, even better. How about her by submission round 3 plus 10,000?
10,000.
Get crazy. Get crazy.
That's a Lambo play.
I love it.
Since you're
Tajik Bey is on
the gas, yeah, I mean, it's going to be late, right? So you might as well take it late.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome.
I think you can get Angie rounds 2 and 3 sub at plus 2,200. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
excuse me. That was Lemos. So like the sub prices are pretty high in this fight.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up a bunch of great ways to play this fight. The ones that stuck out to me the most, probably that Lemos submission plus 1100. Yeah, plus 675 on Bet Online, but yeah, plus 1100. I believe that's FanDuel Sportsbook. That's pretty interesting considering Hill has been finished twice, and both of those come by submission. And then also Lemos in round one, I think it's plus 500. So, yeah,
And once on the Ultimate Fighter,
Good.
too. That one's not on her pro record, but she got submitted on the Ultimate Fighter as well.
That is true. That is true. So, yeah, I mean, it would not shock me at all. And you're getting it plus 1100. I think that's pretty nuts. And it opened up, like you said, plus 1400. But yeah, from a DraftKings perspective, I just don't see myself getting to Lemos here at 9,500. I think there's plays that I like that are a lot cheaper. As far as Angela Hill, I don't see myself getting to her much as well. I mean, if she's going to win, something crazy is going to have to happen, or she's going to have to, win a decision here. I just don't see her going out there, getting takedowns, getting control time. It'd be Lemos if anything, but I just don't see myself paying 9,500 for Amanda Lemos. But we have two fights left. Coming event in the main, we have Stephen Thompson going against Belal Muhammad. We will start with you, Liam. What do you like for this fight here?
Yeah, so this is a fight where, I think that Stephen Wonderboy Thompson has a pretty clear path to victory here. Keep the fight on the outside, land the better, cleaner shots. But the more I think about the fight, the less I've been thrilled about getting involved on one of the Wonder Boy props here. I had thought about the KO at plus 300, and I do think it's a live outcome, but I'm just worried that Belal is going to be able to close in on him enough that, it's shorter shots, it's pitter patter. I don't expect that Wonder Boy is going to be getting dumped over all the time in this fight, but Belal is pretty consistent to come forward even through shots. And try and pursue single legs. And I feel like Wonder Boy is going to defend a lot of takedowns, but probably going to have to defend at least 5 to 6 takedown attempts of significance in this fight. So that for me is the only reason I'm not thrilled about the Wonder Boy KO line. He's also just a little bit older. I backed him big against Jeff Neal. And small to win by KO there. And I just felt like the foot on the gas wasn't there. I felt like he could have put Jeff Neal away if he had sat down on the punches a little bit more. So, that just makes me think money line for Stephen Wonderboy Thompson if I'm to play it. I'm also looking at Wonderboy ITD is the same price as KO on some books. And so not to say that it's a better play, I don't expect Wonderboy to win this fight by submission, but if you have the same price on different books, just take the inside the distance, be smart. So I think that that was just the only other thing I wanted to add there. A lot of people have been playing the Wonderboy, KO line at plus 300, plus 350. And I just think if you can get the ITD at the same price, it would be a bad bet to not do that.
Yep, good point there. Yeah, for me, I'm gonna go with just the Thompson money line minus 210. I actually think it's a pretty solid spot for him. Yes, he got taken down by Burns multiple times and held down, but I think Burns is definitely a better grappler than Belal Muhammad. You take a look at Belal Muhammad, he has, I think, a 27, 28% takedown accuracy. And when he does get guys down, he's not really good at holding them down. So if he does get Thompson down, which I'm not sure he does, I don't think he's going to hold him down. I think this fight does primarily stay standing. And at that point, I do favor Stephen Thompson. So minus 210, I don't hate it. But I would go with the money line, if anything, on this fight, but I don't love it that much. Narco, how about you? What do you like for this fight?
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. I think the money line is fine at minus 210. And I actually like the Thompson by decision plus 105. Belal Muhammad is really, really durable. The other thing that Liam mentioned is Thompson doesn't really have that urgency to get you out of there, right? He's like that point karate fighter. Obviously, I think he's gonna piece up Belal Muhammad from range. But I also think there's going to be a lot of minutes where Belal is kind of cage pushing, trying to get this guy to the ground. But you go back and watch that Diego Lima fight, and dude, Belal Muhammad was 1 for 10 against Diego Lima. And, Thompson's takedown defense is really, really good. Like you guys mentioned, Burns got him down, but Burns is a much, much better grappler, much better on the ground. So even if Belal is to take him to the ground, I don't think he's going to have any control time here. So, we go back and we say, how does he win this fight against Stephen Thompson? And I don't see many ways he wins this, honestly, other than, Thompson being completely done. And I haven't seen any sign of that. So I like Thompson here, money line. I like Thompson here by decision, plus 105. Yeah, it's just a fight for him to win here.
Yep, I'm definitely with you there. For DraftKings, yeah, don't see myself playing this fight. Stephen Thompson, I don't see him getting takedowns. Don't see him getting control time. Probably doesn't knock out below 9,100. Probably goes to decision. I don't like that. And then as far as Muhammad, 7,100, if anything, I'd probably play some of him, but don't see myself being too high on this fight. But yeah, one fight left, main event, an absolute banger here. We have Chris Daukaus going against Derek Lewis. Cannot wait for this fight. For me, I'm just going to keep it real simple here. I have a big parlay this week, and one of those parlay pieces is going to be the fight doesn't go to decision. I think this fight has a very good chance of finishing. You take a look at Derek Lewis. He's been finished in all of his UFC losses. Derek Lewis is a guy that when you watch him, it doesn't look like he likes being hit. And I do think he's going to get hit a lot in this fight, considering Daukaus thus far in 4 fights has attempted 17 strikes per minute. And I'm not sure his approach for this fight and what it's going to be, but I heard an interview with Daukaus. He was kind of talking about how he's not going to let Derek Lewis set the pace. And that kind of means that I think it means that he's going to come in here, kind of put pressure on Derek Lewis, kind of like the Cyril Gane approach, kind of stick on the outside, try to pick apart Derek Lewis, eventually get him out of there. But yeah, Derek Lewis, we know that it only takes one shot. And I have seen some things I did not like out of Daukaus in terms of getting hit, in terms of slowing down as the fight goes on. So I don't want to completely write off Derek Lewis, and I'm not, but I just want to cover both sides here, keeping it really simple. Minus 400, fight doesn't go to decision. I think this fight does finish inside the distance more often than not. Liam, what do you like for this main event here?
Yeah, man. I've been upfront and honest with people that Daukaus has been an absolute money train for me in the UFC, so I'm trying not to let that cloud my judgment in this fight. I think that both guys have a path to the KO. I think that the fight doesn't go the distance is a good way to target this fight. I think that's very likely. I like the under 4.5. I like the under 3.5. I like the fight doesn't start round 5. I think all of that makes sense to me based on the style dynamic. I think on top of that, some of the liabilities that we've seen from Daukaus in the past, I think we don't have the evidence yet that he's shoring them up on tape, but we have reason to believe and reason to suspect he's shoring up those gaps. And what I mean by that is Daukaus used to not look very much like a professional athlete. He looks a lot more like a professional athlete today. He's walking into his fights about 20 pounds less, by example. So I think that Daukaus going to be in better shape than he used to be in. The danger here is that he's going against somebody significantly heavier than him. Like Derek Lewis is a big man, big heavyweight, and he's going to be at a speed deficit here. That's what Chris needs to focus on, is touching him, getting in, getting out, and being safe. I think that Derek is a little bit, predictable at this point in his career. He likes to throw the big looping overhand. He likes to switch stances to southpaw and throw a big jumping switch kick. He likes to do both of those things a total of 5 times per round and then move to the next round. And I think that it is live that he hits Daukaus with something here, because Daukaus is a little bit inexperienced. He's only been a full-time fighter for like a fight camp. I don't know that he is like the world's greatest student of the sport, but I think that Daukaus should have, more paths to victory here. I think that if you're playing a money line, that's probably the side. If you're on Derek Lewis to win the fight inside the distance is like plus 195. Just seems like an obvious way to play it. If you're on the Lewis side, Lewis wins his fights inside the distance. He loses most minutes of most fights that he's in. He's also a little bit fragile to the body, in my opinion. So if Daukaus is smart, he's going to be dipping levels, throwing jabs and straights to the body. He's going to be trying to touch this guy with light shots, 1-2s over and over. And, he doesn't throw a lot of leg kicks so far in his UFC career. I'd like to see him implement some leg kicks here if he can. But yeah, I think that based on the range, the size, things like that, I can't play Daukaus on the money line here. I think people playing Daukaus decision only makes a lot of sense to me. If this fight somehow did make it to the scorecards, I do think Daukaus will win the minutes, but I think it's just a hard fight for me to get a full read on. I think backing violence is the smarter way to go here because you got 2 guys who are capable of falling apart here. Daukaus in his regional tape has been finished more than once, more than one different way. I think if Derek Lewis is on top of him, that's an effing problem. Like, period. Derek Lewis has some of the best ground and pound in MMA. And not from a technical standpoint. He hits like a fucking truck, so it doesn't matter. He could throw just a sledgehammer down towards your face and it will knock people unconscious. So just not something I want to do, line up against the violence potential of Derek Lewis after I did so with Curtis Blades and he got violently put away.
Yeah, you could be so confident betting against Derek Lewis, like I was with Curtis Blades, but sometimes all it takes is one shot, and that could happen here. But yeah, I think Daukaus is a good spot for him. Narco, what are you liking in this fight here?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with you guys about violence, but I have the over 1.5 at -120. I just think, a guy like Derek Lewis, it's a 5-round fight. This is the first 5-round fight for Chris Daukaus. He's got to be very careful. He cannot do what he's done in other fights where he blitzes these guys with punches. It's just, it's not a good recipe to do against a guy in Derek Lewis who punches very, very hard. I just think Daukaus is going to take his time from the outside. And we know Derek Lewis is extremely slow starter. I mean, very low volume. It's a 5-round fight. I think Daukaus is going to kind of take his time here. I do like him in this fight, but I kind of like him later on. I think he's going to pick apart Derek Lewis and eventually possibly stop him in the 3rd or 4th round. So for me, over 1.5 at -120, I think is my best bet here.
Yeah, I was thinking about that one as well. I guess the only thing that would concern me would be if Daukaus did show up and he does come in here and fight like he has been, throwing 17 strikes per minute, because that would not be good. But yeah, I think if he does come in here and fight smart, Derek Lewis, his fights more often than not do go over that 1.5 round mark. So I do think you're on the right track there. From a DraftKings perspective, I'm having both sides here, probably a little bit more on the dog, because I'm thinking right now maybe like 60-40, but it's very hard not to see this fight finding its way onto the optimal lineup. But yeah, more so on Daukaus there. I think he does win this fight inside the distance, but Derek Lewis, if he does win, it's inside the distance as well. So yeah, guys, that is about it. We went through 14 fights. Thank you all so much for hanging out. Very fun show, final show of the year. Thank you all for coming on, Narco and Liam. Narco, let the people know where they can find you, what you have going on throughout the week.
Well, first off, thank you for a very good year here on this show and the best bets. Thank you to everybody in chat. Yeah, I have a show today later on with Tajik Bey at 9:00 Central. It's the Lambeau Place podcast. It's the last one for the year. Yeah, that's about it. You can find me on Narco Cop on Twitter, and my channel is Narco Cop MMA on YouTube. Thank you again.
Sounds good. Cannot wait for the Lambeau show tonight. Should be a fun one. Liam, let everybody know where they can find you and what you have going on throughout the week.
Absolutely. So I'm all over the place, guys. Been doing a lot of content this week. Excited about this card. I'm going to be going live with my man Gordo tonight on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel with Chance Wagers as well. Going to be going on Pub Sports Radio tomorrow. Very excited for that opportunity. So looking forward to that. Going to be writing a preview article for the main event for Roto Grinders. My premium picks are available at scoresandodds.com if you guys are interested in that kind of thing. Otherwise, find me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube at Liam Picks Fights. Very easy to get in touch with, so get at me there if you have any questions, comments, concerns. Appreciate y'all for watching, and thank you guys very much for having me. I enjoyed the conversation.
Sounds good, Liam. Thank you for coming on, guys. Go check out Liam. He does a great job with his content. But yeah, appreciate you all for hanging out. Leave a like on your way out. Subscribe to the channel. My betting breakdown video will be out shortly, and then also my DraftKings video will be out shortly as well. Going to try to get those out today, early tomorrow. But yeah, last card of the year. Let's make it a good one. Good luck. UFC Vegas 45. Let's make some money. See you guys.